Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. I have another guest. This gent is not new to the channel. You've been here before.
Yeah.
In
2018.
2019. So it's been a couple of years. A lot has happened. I will leave a link to the video we did before somewhere on the screen so you guys can go watch that. This is a follow-up video because it's been a couple of years. A lot has happened. He's gone through so much. From the title of the video you can probably see. So now we're just getting an update of where he is, what's he doing, you know, what's going on in the space that he's in. Top 35 under 35, we want to talk about that as well. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I have two icebreaker questions for you, friend.
Okay.
If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I'll go to Bora Bora.
Bora Bora.
That's the most exclusive place that I've seen, even on the pictures and videos and all of that. That's definitely gonna be my honeymoon destination. But yeah, Bora Bora is my trip destination. Yeah.
I need to see a video of what Bora Bora looks like because I feel like I can't comprehend it in my mind.
Nah, you must check it out. It's beautiful.
Okay. If money was not an issue, what would you do with your life on a day-to-day?
I'd be teaching. I have a passion for teaching. I think I'll be a school teacher or university or stuff like that. But I think I do have a passion for teaching. Okay. And I guess even the other stuff that I do kind of like shows that I have a passion in that space. I
want to start with an introduction, but before I go on, I just want to mention that we are shooting this video in an unfamiliar environment. So if you guys see background jackets and stuff, we are in Oslo. It is freezing on this side of the planet today.
Yeah.
But super grateful to be here and to meet up and to do this video. So who is Darron? I don't think I've actually introduced you yet. But I want you to introduce yourself because it's interesting to hear how people speak about themselves.
Yeah.
I can introduce you. I know your whole life. I can introduce you.
Yeah.
But who is Darron?
I know many people don't know the name Darron because you're pretty much the only one that uses that name. So that's interesting. But it's where to begin, hey? I'm a big brother. I'm a friend. I have a passion for entrepreneurship, socially and for profit making, and I just have the passion to help someone, you know, to send the elevator down when I go up,
exactly.
You know. So there isn't much to describe myself. It's a very difficult question for me, I guess, but yeah, I think that's that. Yeah. Okay. And I'm a Christian, which is the most important part. Yeah.
Okay, guys, my version of that intro is that Darron is an associate in a very, very prestigious firm, Norwegian firm. Hence, we are in Oslo today. He's a 35 under 35 finalist, 2022 finalist. But you know what? I want to talk about your journey, and not necessarily starting from high school because we've already covered that in the previous video. But let's talk about you in articles, and then let's move on to 35 under 35 and now currently what you do with your current job. So articles, what was that like for you? If you don't know, did his articles at KPMG. I can't mention that, right?
Yeah.
KPMG Cape Town. What was articles like those 3 years?
I think it's quite a common understanding between trainees that articles sucks. I think that's, let's get that out of the way. If you feel like articles sucks, you're not the only one, right? They do, and I think that's one. I worked so hard. I was predominantly auditing insurance companies.
So in financial
services, about 70 to 80% of my clients were insurance. But I think when I entered auditing, the first day that I got into that job, obviously first 2 to 3 weeks you in training and all of that, but the first time I walked into the client, at the end of that day, I already told myself, this is not for me. This is not what I'm going to do for the long haul. So, and then I started positioning myself to what the exit strategy is going to be, right? Where I want to be. So I started having chats with people in the outer space of where I wanted to be, which was mostly investment banking, private equity, etc. But within articles as well, I purposefully fought to be in the financial services spaces, because one, I kind of will get that exposure to the financial services where I want to work in, and two, you get exposed to the people that are working on the other side, right? You get to have that network. There was a couple of people that were able to talk to me about what they do. Even when you're doing a walkthrough as well, like you get to hear, okay, what this person does is not what I want to do, or what this person does is interesting, you know. So it was that element that I did, but I think being in that niche kind of industry, auditing that niche kind of industry, I think I learned a lot, I think that's about it. Article sucked, but I try to position myself.
So I think maybe one of the questions that people could be having right now is, how did you know, like, after articles, this is one I want to get into, and then you start positioning yourself in that way? Because a lot of us are here just like, but I don't know what I want to do. You know, like, even if you put me in FS, in audit, or even if you put me in the retail and consumer market side, I don't know what to choose because I don't know what I want to do. So how do I figure that out?
I think for me it boils down to my personality. That I think if I can take it back to when the day that we met, actually, in Deloitte in 2013.
Funny story. Video for another day.
So when I went to Deloitte, right, I had a chat with one of the guys, Ntwanie. Ntwanie. Who actually, I was with him at the top 35 under 35 event.
Nice.
So I had a chat with Ntwanie, and then he was telling me about what the CAs do in the auditing space, right? And I like the fact that you go and talk to people, because that's, for me, that's what I like, engaging with people. And I also went to the insurance department, right? And so, no man, what these guys do mostly, like, it's kind of like middle office kind of vibe, right? They do most of their work in the background. So I chose CA over being an actuary because of that element, right? That I wanted to be in boardrooms, be in forefront, talking to people, etc. And then when I went to university, I enjoyed management accounting and finance, right? So I started looking into, okay, what can I do with these two things? And then I started learning about, there's investment banking, pretty much there's private equity, all those things, right? So I started taking interest in that. So it wasn't, for me, it wasn't a decision that I made while I was still within articles, but it was a different steps, different steps in towards that that thing. But I think if I can answer your question about how do you know, it would be look within what you enjoy, right? Like, first look at your personal attributes and, okay, do you enjoy going to talking to people? I think you can really shape your career based on who you are as a person, as opposed to like, okay, let me check what's more interesting. But first, purge within you and be like, okay, what kind of a person am I? And then shape your career around who you are.
Guys, so look within yourself, see what you're interested in. No one has the answer. We don't have the answer, neither do I. So we all just have to figure it out. Let's move on to now. Articles are done. You know, APC is done. What happens between the APC release date and the end of the year when your articles obviously now terminate? What's the plan? What are you doing? Where are you applying? What's happening?
No, look, I applied, eh? I
Were
think.
you the one that's dishing out the CV?
Look, I think, hey, yo, look, I applied. I did so many interviews. I think LinkedIn was my go-to.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, every single night I'm there on LinkedIn. I had a filter. I wanted consulting. But it was like a means to an end, right? Because if you get exposed to the consulting type of work, you're most likely gonna be able to break into investment banking and ultimately private equity, because that's what I wanted, a path to end up in private equity. So
was it private equity or was it investment banking for you?
Ultimately, I wanted private equity, but I knew that most PE firms kind of want someone who has a banking experience or a consulting experience. So that's why I wanted one of the three. You know. So yeah, like when you're waiting for APC or you've written your APC to those that actually passed before third year in their second year, you I was just applying as well. Like, this is what I'm doing all the time. In the evening I'm there. What is R&B having? What is what is Bank of America having at Goldman Sachs, etc. That's what I was doing, really.
But for some reason, and to maybe jump the gun, for some reason you end up at Sanlam, right? But Sanlam was not private equity. It was a completely different role. What was your role at Sanlam, and how did your financial services experience, did that help? And do you think people who, maybe this is a lot of questions at the same time, but do you think people who are in audit outside of financial services can get into that space?
Okay, first, what my role at Sanlam was. So I was an analyst I was in wealth management / asset management. So you literally just manage people's money and invest it in the stock market, in bonds, etc. That's what I did. So I was an analyst responsible for retail and properties stocks. So what was the second question?
So the second question was, how did the FS background
so I think, look, in auditing you don't do a lot of modeling, to be honest, or zero modeling. You're not gonna sit there and actually model the company or say an equity instrument that the company has and stuff like that. You call a corporate finance team to come and assist you with that. But I think there is that minimum exposure in terms of assessing that work of the expert, right? Because that's what we do, right? We can't just use the work of expert without obtaining an understanding. Oh, interesting, I still remember the auditing part.
Oh wow.
So yeah, like you kind of obtain an understanding of the work that they do, the scope as well. You're the one that kind of sets the scope. Obviously not as a trainee, but I mean you kind of work with the partner in terms of setting the scope. So I think that was the limited exposure that I had with regards to modeling a company, analyzing the stock market, etc. But it wasn't like 100% transferable skills into the thing. But one point that I want to make kind of point out is the work that you do in auditing. You kind of scrutinize the company, right? From controls to financial statements to environmental to all those things. You actually discuss those things. I think in KPMG you've got section 1 that you talk about all those things, right? That's what you incorporate in your analysis of the company. So that as well is kind of transferable into you being an analyst or in the corporate finance space.
And do you think people who are in consumer markets and everything else but FS can move into the space where there's so much modeling that we need to know? It almost feels like I have to shift my whole thinking from a backward, I want to say, thought process in audit, because we come after the fact, into now a more forward looking to say, oh, but in 5 years time, how is the shares of this company won't be doing.
Yeah.
So like, how do people who are in these spaces now move into this strategic forward thinking roles?
Yeah, I think one thing to understand is it doesn't matter where you are in audit, you're always going to change your thinking when you're coming to the corporate finance or the finance space, right? Because the level of thinking in audit, it's kind of a risk management and trying to make sure that what management says it is what it is. But in the other side, you're kind of formulating your view on the company, your independent view, irrespective of what management are saying. But you are formulating your own independent view. So it doesn't matter whether you're in financial services or you are in consumer markets and all the other things. At the end of the day, the thinking as an analyst, as an associate in banking, as an associate in private equity, your thinking is going to be different. But to answer your question about whether or not people in consumer market can, I think definitely.
So I guess if you are in the consumer market, the real estate of the world, and everything else that other than financial services, you do still have transferable skills into the more, I want to say, strategically thinking roles, like the private equities, the analysts, and equity and everything in that investment space. So you can still transition. It's I guess it's not impossible. It's just gonna take a lot more effort for you to change the thinking. Let's move on to 35 under 35. Sir, a whole finalist. How was the experience?
The experience was it was interesting, man. It's like a whole course, that thing that I never thought. Like they send you things that you need to write. They ask you to write articles. Like different things that they want you to do. But it was interesting, man. You get to meet different people that are doing amazing things in the different industries. I think that's one space where you get exposed to multiple CAs that have completely different career paths, right? In different industries, and they're captains of those industries as well. So it just goes to see that CAs are very much versatile. Right? We pretty much need it in every single industry. That is no debate, right? But it is not that when we're in those industries, we're only financial managers, right? We're actually doing what those guys are, what we're supposed to do in that industry. So it was interesting getting exposed to the different CAs and meeting the different people that are interesting. And of course, we did some photo shoots as well. It was lovely stuff.
10 minutes of fame. Look, I attended the 35 under 35 event in London last year. And just looking at the panel, I just felt so much out of place. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you look at this group of people who have done so much with their careers and they're under 35 years. And I'm just like, I could never. I don't think this. How do you deal with that? I don't know if it's self-sabotage or like
I don't even
imposter syndrome to like, oh my gosh, you guys have achieved so much. I've just passed APC. That's all I've ever done.
No, look, I think it's not that you haven't done things that you could potentially put you on the list. I think it's that you don't necessarily have a time to actually sit around and reflect in terms of what you have done, right? I think there's a couple of things that you can point out that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I've done. And also, the things that we have achieved as well as CAs, right? Because you live among and hang around CAs as well, it's sort of expected that you can achieve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, such that you don't take it as an achievement. Like for instance, you moved from South Africa to London, right? You're employed by a London-based company. That is an achievement, right? And there's a level of promotion that happened as well.
You're spilling my guns.
You're gonna talk into that in detail, but it's those things, right? And we don't get to talk about it because we feel it's a normal thing. No, it's not a normal thing. It's an achievement, And for me, that's when I realized, when I had to do a reflection and talk about my achievements, that no, man, I've done a couple of things that I can be proud of as a person, independent of my career as a CA. But just to say, you. I am me, a person that did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's not like that.
It's interesting when you put it like that, because now like, I guess within the CA circle and the CA space, moving to London, like you said, is not something amazing. A lot of us are doing it. It feels normal. But to people outside the CA circle, it's like, oh my god, how did you do that?
Exactly.
So I see what you mean, but I guess comparing, and maybe we shouldn't be comparing, but just benchmarking where we are to where the panel is on that 35 under 35 list just feels like there's so much gap, like we've done so much. But I guess relative as well, we also do have some achievements that we have come to achieve. But so with the 35 under 35, having been through the process, how can people who are aspiring to be on the list, what can we do to prepare ourselves? Do we need to start a business and blow up in tech? Do we need to, what's the magic?
No, man, I don't think you need to be do something that Mark Zuckerberg did or Jeff Bezos. You don't need to be a Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not. I'm not a Jeff Bezos. I'm not a Mark Zuckerberg. But I think one, you just have to, I think there's a self-nomination as well. You just have to nominate yourself, or get someone will nominate you. That's the start, right? You never know what's gonna land up. I never thought that. Even the person that nominated me, when they asked, because they wanted to attend the event, is like, hey bro, can I nominate you? I want to attend this event. I was like, go ahead.
Wait, so they nominated you so they can attend
the event? So I'm like, well, I've got nothing to lose, for starters. And also, for me, I wasn't kind of expecting this listing now. I was like, okay, let me wait until I'm like 34.
Let's just wait.
But I got nominated, and then when I talked about my achievements and what I've done for the communities, etc., within those categories,
and he's done so much
within those categories, that's when I ended up on the list, right? So you never know what's gonna happen. I think one thing to do is to actually just get nominated or self-nominate, and then you reflect on your achievements. If as a CA, after the 7 years of studying post school, I think there's so much that you've done, man. I really think in 7 years, all you've done is ITC, APC, and you register. There's no way. There's no way. There is a lot that you've done, definitely. In 7 years, somebody's life can change completely different. So there's definitely a lot that someone has done after qualifying as a CA.
Okay, let's move on to No Fund. Where are you now? What's happening with the career? We've moved out of audit. We've worked at Sanlam, gotten a bit of experience. How does the No Fund opportunity come about? And how do you end up working for this Norwegian company, which now brings us to Oslo, which we never would have been, by the way. So how did that come about?
One, I think LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is the girl.
That was my space, So I came across an opportunity on LinkedIn. It was it's an associate at No Fund. They're looking for someone to come and help them in their energy space. So it was a recruiter that posted that. So I just applied like any other person would. And then when I applied, that recruiter sent me an email and say, hey, this is the salary expectation. I'm like, oh, okay. This is the salary expectation or the range. They're willing to have a chat with you, right? A first interview and all of that. So I'm like, yeah, sure. And for me, it was, when I looked at the job spec, right, it wanted a bit of experience in the similar kind of roles, which I didn't have. But I had like 70 to 80% of that. But there were just some of the things that were private equity space kind of requirements that I didn't kind of meet.
So, before, just to interrupt you, you applied even though you didn't meet 100%.
Listen, I don't know. Even there was roles that I applied when I met only 20% of of the requirements. Listen,
I think that's where the change, the thing is. You know, like applying to roles where you don't meet 100, because you never will meet 100%.
Exactly.
And if you don't apply, then you don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
So if you are applying, even if you don't meet everything, do it.
Because I think for me it was I wanted to groundbreak into this space of, investment banking or private equity. So if I meet 20%, 30%, I'm applying. But also I believed that having a chat with someone, right, in an interview, and they get to know me, to say, this is me, I have an interest in this space, this is what I've done to actually get exposed to this. Because unless you've done the actual job, you won't necessarily have the experience in the job, So I believe that I can sell myself enough to be in the job, because sometimes someone somewhere, like my previous boss in Sandam, someone somewhere would be willing to take a faith on you, even though you don't necessarily have the experience that they want. And I believed that I could get someone at some point to casually take the faith on me, unlike that. So I applied at no fund. I had 60 to 70% of the requirements, and I got into an interview. I know nothing about energy industry. I don't even know how a wind turbine kind of generates electricity. Okay, at least now I kind of know.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in there for a while.
I've been in there for about 7 months now. But I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to apply, and then I'm going to ask people that have been in the energy industry to chat to me about how the energy space works, right? And then I had a chat with Eva. He had worked for some of the projects in the energy space. Shout out to you, Eva.
Shout out, Eva.
And that's he helped me a lot, and we landed the interview. Me and Eva landed the interview, and we landed the job.
Damn.
So that's what happened.
So speaking to people who are in whatever that space is, just to get an understanding of what happens, what's the day to day, how does this thing work?
Because it usually helps, and it also kind of, because when someone is working in that space, they kind of know what you're gonna be doing in there. So they would kind of prompt the questions what you'll be asked, right? It's like, oh, if you are in the space, they would want to know if you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's kind of helped a lot.
The power of networking, guys. Speak to people. You never know. So I wouldn't be doing people justice if I don't ask you, how's the money in private equity? Are we winning? Are we winning?
Of course, it's relative, right?
Yeah.
But things get better.
Okay.
Life gets better, And of course, you're not gonna move from your previous job to the next job if there isn't some upside or premium to it. So. Yeah, life gets better, man.
Guys, it definitely looks like it gets better, I must say.
It definitely gets better. I think, unless one thing as well, right? When I moved to Sanlam, I wasn't necessarily getting paid like a fed salary. Given that I had like a 3 years experience. I don't know if articles counts as experience.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, but I had that, but what I wanted was, I just wanted to learn, right? The money will come later when I've accumulated the experience. You have to pay your school fees, right? And I think one of the thing is, you may get a job that is in the space that you want, but they may say, okay, because you don't necessarily have the experience, we're going to reduce the salary to a certain extent, right? To kind of reflect your experience. And if it's an industry that you want to be in for a long term, I would definitely say do the school fees. It's a school fees. Pay the school fees. Do the learning. Be the best in what you do, and then from there you'll start seeing the money. And I think it's quite sad that people expect the money up front, because we want to pay experts, right? If you're not an expert in what you do, I'm not gonna pay you the premium, right? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, that you need to kind of pay the school fees, become the expert, then you can negotiate to say, you know, look, now I know what I'm doing. I can move. You can even move, and you've got options, etc. Like, I think when I went through the Sanlam kind of training and all of that, when I was doing the interview with No Fund, I was also doing an interview with one of the banks as well, right? And I had options. The bank matched my money that No Fund was giving me, you know, because they saw something in me, you know, that this guy can deliver what we want, you know, and that kind of gives you option to be the kind of good at what you do. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm kind of saying, I'm saying just be good at what that.
Yeah, you're good. Okay. In closing, I have 2 questions that I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Before I ask you, just to clear up, because there's probably someone wondering, so do you live in Norway now? What's the arrangement with your work?
Yeah. So the company that I work for, I'm full-time based in Cape Town. South Africa, yeah. I'm full-time based in South Africa. They've got operations in different markets. They've got operations in South Africa that caters for Southern Africa region. We've got offices in East Africa, that's Nairobi, West Africa, Ghana, and we've got one in Costa Rica and one in Bangkok in Southeast Asia, and we've got head offices in Norway. So what happens is we've got team offsites, right? So where we get together is energy team in the No Fund team. So we usually come, all of us come to Norway and spend time together, getting to know each other, etc. So they've got opportunities like desk swap, so you can go work in Nairobi, Ghana, Norway, Bangkok, etc. So because I've joined about 7 months ago, so I need to have a culture acclimatization experience.
I don't get it.
Getting to know how things work and getting to be immersed in the DNA of the company, which is the headquarters, just to see how things actually work, because the environment could be different based on the localized regional office, right? Yeah. But you need to understand the DNA of the company. So in order to do that, you need to come to head office. So I'm here for 6 weeks just to get to understand how things work.
I envy people who travel in their jobs. It always sounds so glamorous. Like, well, I'm in Oslo this week, and then I'm going to Kenya. Anyway, 2 closing questions.
Yeah.
What is the best career advice you've ever heard or wish you had before?
Okay. That's a tough one. But I think the best career advice that I've heard was, and I had this very early in my journey, was just knock at the door. Somebody will answer the door. So I think that's in everything that I've done, in all the organizations that I've led and founded, etc. It's always been, I'm going to knock at the door. Someone will someday hear the knock and open the door for me. So I've always applied to different jobs. I've always sent cold emails to people, like just to say, introduce what I do, etc. Looking for collaborations in our organization. I've collaborated with Grade. I've collaborated with Standard Bank Incubator. I've collaborated with different organizations, but because I was able to just knock at the door, right, and somebody will just open the door, hopefully.
So just knock.
Yeah.
You never know. What would you say to your 20-year-old self today?
20, I was still in varsity, so I would say, I don't remember.
Second or first?
It's
Wait, no. Okay,
It's
I don't
been
know.
long.
It's been a while.
I think I would tell my 20-year-old that spread your wings a little bit. I think I was a little bit closed up to say, but I think a year later, when I was around 21, that's when I started getting into other things, getting involved in other things other than academics.
Yeah.
So, and I think I would have loved to, do more of knocking on the door and hoping somebody's
from that stage
to do that. So yeah, man, I think that would be the advice that I would give to my 20-year-old. Yeah.
Okay, guys, this is Darren. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you would like more of these videos, comment down below, share with your friends, let us know what you think. You never know, maybe the next one could be somewhere else in Europe. You never know. But anyway, thanks for watching. Please do comment, subscribe, like. Where do we find you? Where do people follow you?
So I'm on pretty much all the social media except TikTok.
Okay.
I have nothing against TikTok. I think I tried by all means, because social media kind of takes your time a lot, right? So I tried by all means to limit the use of. So even Instagram, I just recently joined. I think I only have a year or so now, or under a year. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. I'm more active on Facebook actually. I know a lot of people don't understand.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not even on Facebook.
Yeah, like I'm more active on Facebook than any other one.
Okay, so what's your Facebook? I think that's where they can find you.
Yeah, they can find me anyway. It's on Facebook. It's Tshifhiwa Munzhelele, and then Tshifhiwa Munzhelele everywhere else. Yeah.
I'll leave a name tag somewhere.
Yeah.
Thanks for the video, buddy.
Yeah. Good to see you in Europe.
Bye.
Bye.